What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Tim Sports Talk, and Merry Christmas. It's Christmas week. It's coming up Saturday, just 5 days from now. I hope you guys got all your Christmas shopping done, because I know I haven't. But it is what it is. We'll get through that for sure. But for now, we got a game preview. Of course, this one was postponed, hence why the preview was postponed. I usually like to want to post these on Saturday mornings, but I don't even know what to report to you guys on Saturday morning because the COVID situation was so insane. I didn't know when we were playing. I didn't know what the situation was. So I decided to wait it out a little bit when things are a little bit more clear, and I get it out to you now Monday morning. Of course, the game was postponed until Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. We will be here live on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell to know when we go live and hang out for good radio-style play-by-play. Awesome. All right, well, let's hop into this preview. So let's start with some recent history before we get into this matchup. So last season, Washington won both matchups, including the season opener where they had the 17-0 comeback with Dwayne Haskins. And then at the end of the year, so we sandwiched them between the season where they had the controversial benching of Jalen Hurts for Nate Sudfeld, actually a 6th-round pick for Washington, where they allowed the Skins to go to the playoffs instead of, I believe, the Giants were the one that won before. If we didn't win, Giants would have gone at 6-10. But before that, the Eagles were on a 6-game win streak where they also had a 17-0 comeback included in that against Case Keenum and Jay Gruden. But against Ron Rivera, right now, we are 2-0, and they have never beaten the Washington football team. Let's see if we can hold that true. All right, current status of these two teams. The Eagles right now sit at 6-7, as same as Washington. So right now the Eagles are third in the NFC East. It's basically a tie, but currently they sit at 0-2 in the division, which is why Washington has the lead on them. But the Eagles, you can see here, they have won 3 out of their last 4, and in their 3 wins, they have put up 30 points in each of those, including a 40-burger on the Saints, who just last night, the Saints shut out Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Literally 0 points on the day. So they have the ability to put up some points, and it comes from their rushing attack. You can see here, there's 160 rushing yards per game. That's number 1 in the league. And before this last game where they finally had Miles Sanders run for 120 yards, they did not have a single 100-yard rusher in those games. So they run the ball with many different pieces and in many different ways. You can see they average more points than us at 26. We only average 20, and they also give up less at 22. We give up nearly 25. But of course, Washington has played a lot better in the last stretch where they had laid an egg against the Cowboys, but they tried to come back. They lost 27-20, but before that, they were on a 4-game win streak, winning it with time of possession and nitty-gritty, dirty football. All right, so also, before we move on, there's a 6.5-point spread. Eagles are the favorites. This thing has been out of control, up and down with the COVID. Nobody knows who's playing, who's not. This thing, I think it started at -4 on Tuesday with Eagles being favored. And then I think on Friday at the low point, they had the Eagles all the way to favored as -11 points. So yeah, this thing has been all over the place. Also an over-under of 42. I think I like the under in this game, to be honest. But it could be an over. If I say I like the over, it's probably going to be... if I say I like it the under, it's probably going to be an over. But anyway, all right, let's hop into the COVID situation. So here's the current list. This list was over 20-some-odd guys, but now it is cut down to, I believe, 14 is on this list. Now, you can see these dates are when they went on to the COVID list. So December 15th, December 16th, 17th, so on. Now, we did reinstate just yesterday Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, and a couple other guys. Jonathan Allen was put on the COVID list on December 13th. So if that trend can hold true, we may be able to get guys from the 15th, and if we're lucky, maybe from the 16th. But what does this mean for Taylor Heinicke? Most likely, Heinicke will not be ready to play for Tuesday, so we'll have to rely on Kyle Allen. Now, it also, of course, depends on the vaccination status of these players. If any of these players are not vaccinated, and we don't know that, it's not public information, But if any of these players are not vaccinated, they are automatically on the COVID list for 10 days, and they will miss the football game. Point blank, period. Now, it seems like both Heineke and Allen are both vaccinated, so hopefully we get one of these two guys, if not both, back. But right now, I am under the assumption that Kyle Allen will be the starting quarterback for the Washington football team, and hopefully by tomorrow, if not Tuesday morning, we will get word that Kyle Allen was removed from the COVID list and ready to play on Tuesday night. Now, of course, hopefully we also get guys like Matt Ioannidis. Cornelius Lucas would be huge. I don't think Sam Cosmi's back yet. We'll actually look at the injury report. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting on who gets on and who gets off. Like David Mayo. Why was he not? Is he still sick? Is he not vaccinated? I don't know. But the same day that he was put on the list, Jonathan Allen was, but Jonathan Allen's off, David Mayo's not. We'll see how those go. Now, taking a look at the injury lists of both teams. Right now we have Jordan Kuduzek, J.D. McKissick, Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Cole Holcomb, and Brandon Sheriff on our injury report. Jordan Kuduzek was a full participant and practiced on Saturday. J.D. McKissick did not practice all week long, so we're most likely not going to see him on Tuesday. It's not impossible, but usually you would like to see the final practice be done before you claim, okay, we're going to play him. Terry McLaurin, though, he was also on the concussion protocol. He was a full participant in the last practice. That's huge news for Washington. Obviously, he's the number one target on our team, and it was really scary and sad when he went down, but it seems like he's okay, and thank God, because he absolutely landed right on the back of his head. It was a very scary situation, so luckily for him, he looks to be okay. Curtis Samuel now is not a groin injury. He is now a hamstring injury. He didn't practice all week, so it looks like we get him back for a couple of plays, and now he's gone again. Cole Holcomb and Brandon Sheriff both limited, but they were full on Friday, so we should see them. The Eagles injury report. You can see here they have a decent amount of guys, but all of them were full participants on Saturday. So most likely, they are actually going to have a pretty full squad. The only player they had on the COVID list was Landon Dickinson, I believe it was. So they only have one guy. So it seems as though the Eagles should be coming in pretty darn healthy heading into this football game. All right, let's hop into the key players of the Eagles to keep an eye out on. And of course, it starts with number one, their quarterback, Jalen Hurts. And we talked about it already there, and we're going to mention it probably more times throughout this video. They are leading the league in rushing, and it's because of Jalen Hurts. He is their leading rusher right now with nearly 700 yards on the ground throughout. He also is doing a good job through the air. He's averaging 260 yards a game through the air with 2,435 yards. He only has 13 touchdowns through the air, but only 8 interceptions. He also has 8 touchdowns on the ground. So he's obviously a huge factor if he plays. Hopefully, I mean, of course, I want him to play because I don't wish injuries on anybody, but last week, Gardner Minshew played, and Gardner Minshew did pull out the victory against the Jets. Of course, it's the Jets, so what does that mean? But I didn't put Gardner Minshew in the key players list because I don't think he's going to play. I believe it's going to be Jalen Hurts is back to the starter. They'll get back to their roots and move on from there. Next up, we got Miles Sanders, again, leading the league in rushing yards. He's averaging right now 5.2 yards per carry. He finally hit 100 yards last week. He did get into the 90s a couple times before that, but this guy is an absolute stud at the running back position. The one weird stat, though, is he's also not scored a touchdown this season, whether that be through the air or on the ground. His rookie season, he did have 500 yards through the air, so he hasn't had as many. I think he only has 140 yards through the air this year, but he can still be a weapon out of the backfield. We got to keep an eye on number 26 at all times. He's a really, really good running back in this league, and he can get loose if you let him. Next up, we got Devontae Smith, their first round pick. And honestly, I was down on this guy coming into the league. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that he could not succeed in the league, but I did not want him to be a first round pick at all because he's too small. But what he does do well, phenomenal hands. He's also got great quickness. He's got great crisp routes. He's made some big catches for the Eagles, including going over some guys, contested catches. This guy, he's a really good wide receiver, and he's showing it. He's got 50 catches this season, 701 yards, and 4 touchdowns in his rookie year, and a team that doesn't throw the ball a whole heck of a lot. So he's leading the team in receptions and receiving yards and touchdowns. He's tied with Dallas Goedert, the tight end. So good for him. We got to make sure that Will Jackson is going to do a good job with him. Will Jackson, he's got the speed to keep up with him. He's also got the size to overpower him. But that's what a lot of people have thought of Devontae Smith in the past. We got to keep an eye on Devontae Smith. Next up, we got their best player, Fletcher Cox. He is getting a little bit older, but he's still only 31 years old, and he is the leader of this defense, and he's the leader of that defensive line. The defensive line has been playing okay. Josh Sweat has had 4 sacks, 4 sacks. Javon Hargraves, has had 7.5 sacks. So nobody is going crazy in the sack department, but they still have a very, very solid defensive line. Of course, they also have Ryan Kerrigan on the team, but Ryan Kerrigan doesn't play very much, so he shouldn't be a huge factor in this game. But if he does need to come in due to injuries, we know what Ryan Kerrigan, Mr. Consistency, not the best pass rusher, especially in his older age, but he does end up with a lot of hustle sacks. He doesn't give up on plays. He is one of the most hard workers on any given team. So if he does come in, you know what he can do. Lastly, for the key players list, is Darius Slay Jr. He's an 83 PFF right now. He's got 3 interceptions on the year. He's a really solid corner. He probably will be matched up with Terry quite often, and we'll see how that matchup turns out. Unfortunately, with Trayvon Diggs last week, we didn't see enough balls go his way. Trayvon Diggs did win on the slant. Trayvon Diggs did knock another one away that was a little bit underthrown by Heineke. But Terry McLaurin also won some matchups that, for some reason, Mr. Taylor Heineke decided not to look at Terry McLaurin. I don't know why. He threw it into Cam Sims into quintuple coverage, and I didn't mess that up. Literally 5 defenders around Cam Sims when literally Terry McLaurin's so open, he's putting his hand up like he's Randy Moss over Revis Island, right? Hey, Brady, throw it to me. Touchdown. No. Instead, he throws it to Cam Sims. So we'll see what this matchup turns. But what I do know is Terry's good enough to hang out with him, okay? So he's not going to absolutely crush Terry McLaurin. So hopefully we get some targets for him. All right. Last up, we got the keys to victory to beat the Eagles. So on the Tim and Jerris Sports Talk, I mentioned number 1, we have to field a team. Luckily, they pushed the game back, so it looks like that's going to happen. So that's off my list now. Number 1, we have to slow down the run. I've, again, mentioned it several times. I'm going to mention it again. They are leading the league in rushing yards. We have to slow down this run. If you allow the play action to open up, it's going to get dangerous. Number 2 is along the same vein, but a little bit different and very, very important. Stay disciplined. Stay disciplined. They're going to do a lot of misdirection. They're going to do a lot of play action and Jalen keeps it. They're going to do a lot of play action and throw it to different direction. Got to stay disciplined. And also, to kind of combine this, stay disciplined also means in the penalties, all right? We kind of got into the mud with it with the Dallas Cowboys last week. Dallas Cowboys, the most penalized team in the league. We were right there with them, unfortunately, in that game. This game, we have to go back to what we were doing in that 4-game win streak where we were not getting a whole ton of penalties. We were winning that battle every single week. Stay disciplined is number 2. Number 3, 4 turnovers last week. 4 of them. We can't survive that. It's unbelievable that we were only within 7 points last week, getting back into it. But it was 4 turnovers that were just absolutely heartbreaking. Antonio Gibson, no more fumbles because we're going to need to rely on you for key number 4. That has got to get back to the controlling the ball, controlling the time of possession. In that 4-game win streak, we were crushing our opponents in time of possession. I mean, literally 2-1. I think against the Bucks, we had like 41 minutes of time of possession compared to their 19. We need that. Okay, we're not a high-flying offense. We're not even a great defense. I know they've been playing better, but a big reason why they were playing better is that we were keeping them off the field with the time of possession, letting them get as much rest as possible to be in a good situation to play with their offense, like against their offense. So, got to control that ball. And Antonio Gibson, you can't fumble the football. You got to follow your gaps, follow your holes, follow your blockers. And we got to run the football and control that time of possession. Also, in that, Taylor Heineke or Kyle Allen, another thing that Taylor Heineke was doing really well was finding the guy on that 3rd and short. Got it. He was terrible against the Cowboys. Got to get back to that. Lastly, number 5 is we got to find the open man. I mentioned it when I was talking about Darius Slay. Terry McLaurin was open several times last week. You got to find him. Or when you forced it to Terry McLaurin on the play he got hurt, Curtis Samuel and John Bates were both open underneath for the first down. It was 3rd and 3, and you're throwing it 60 yards downfield, not literally, but super far downfield when you have the ability to get the first down and continue to keep the drive alive. That's what we need. That's what we're good at, and we have to get back to it. Find the open man, whether it's Kyle Allen or whether it's Taylor Heineke. Got to find the open man because Heineke really struggled with that against the Cowboys, and it cost us big time. He was like 2 for 12 at halftime last week. 2 for 12. That's horrible. Got to get better than that. But we're in a dogfight now with the Eagles. We got to win it. All right? It's pretty critical if we want to make the playoffs to win this game because it's going to be a struggle to beat the Cowboys the next week, and then we have the Eagles again, and then we have the Giants. Losing conference games and losing division games down the stretch right now is pretty dang big because the conference games is probably what's going to decide who gets the final wild card spot. As I said, it's the Saints, it's the Vikings, it's us, it's the Eagles, and the Falcons are right there in the mix, I think, and the Panthers. There's so many teams right there in the mix. We got to make sure we're winning these division games because it's going to be huge on the tie breaks if we can get into the playoffs. So, that's the breakdown. That's the preview going into this game. You guys let me know what you guys think is going to happen down in the comments below. Oh, last thing, score predictions. I'm going to say Washington 19-16 in a weird, ugly, grinded out game. 19-16 Washington. Let's go. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Also in the description below, there's a Discord link. Hop on our Discord and come talk some football. Also in the description below, there's a link to our second channel, the Tim and Jarris Sports Talk. Go subscribe to over there so you can get the short clips of our podcast. And then, last but not least, there are donation links in the description below. If you feel so kind, you could donate to the channel. Thank you for watching till the end. Go. Come on, baby. Hail. Let's get a victory. And until next time. See ya.